Welcome on this video lecture, and we were talking about integration. This is the final step in that applications of integration. So we'll be learning how we can use those integrations that we have learned in application or in physics. So let's say we are having this y versus x graph. So this is y is equal to fx. So a function is given to us which we can plot in a graph. So we can say a graph is given to us. Now in this graph, if we consider 2 points, let's say this is x1 and we take this here, so that will be a location where this x1 gives the value of function. Similarly, we can choose another coordinate or a point x2. So if we choose these 2 points x1 and x2, then there is going to be an area that will be bounded by these two boundaries x1 and x2 and the graph upside and the x-axis downside. So whatever this enclosed area is, this area can be calculated using the integration. So in nutshell, we can say if we do this integration of y dx, and which runs from x1 to x2, so you'll find this x1 to x2 y dx, this particular expression will give us area under the graph or the curve, area under the curve. So when we say area under the curve, we mean that there's going to be graph or curve, and we need to see what the area is under that with the x-axis and from limit x1 to x2. So from first limit x1, then second limit or last limit x2, whatever that area is coming, that area is given by this integration. So first we need to learn. We can finally say that this area under the curve that we were talking about is bounded by four these lines or boundaries. One boundary is made up by this lower limit. So one boundary is made up by this lower limit. Another boundary is made up by this upper limit. Another boundary is made up by this axis, whatever the axis is this, and another is made up by this y. That's the graph. So these four elements that you can see over here all are contributing to form the enclosed area or area under the curve. Here x1 is this limit, that's the boundary, x2 is this boundary, x is this boundary or dx you can call, and y is this boundary. So that area that is trapped is called area under the graph or curve, and that is with the x-axis in this particular case. So that's the most important application of this integration, and we need to learn this, digest then and use it. Okay. Now let's learn how this integration is able to give the area under the graph. So I'm going to explain why we say so, and if you focus you can understand how this area is going to be created, and this understanding will help us in future advanced level calculations as well. Now you say we are adding these things. Y, first of all we are multiplying this y with dx. So we need to know what is y, what is dx, and what this multiplication is going to give us. So as we have talked about, this dx is very small distance along the x direction. So if we take any small distance over here, that's let's say dx, very small. That means we are going from here at a distance x. So we are taking x coordinate, that's x coordinate, and then after we are considering very small distance, that's called dx. So that length is dx. Whenever we apply the d, that means that amount is very small. Though I have shown it significantly large, but it's very small. You can think of almost like a point. Now if this point has a coordinate x, so definitely the next point will be having coordinate x plus dx. So next point will have a coordinate x plus dx. Anyway, I'm not writing that, I'm erasing that, and that's not of any big use here. Now, if we take this x point upward, so whatever the value you are going to get over here is going to be y. So what a function says, function simply says if you place the value of x, this is y equal to fx, right? So if we place the value of x in the function, we will get the value of y. So that becomes y. Now if we take the next point, which is very close to it, very close to it, this point. So this point is going to give us some y plus dy. Since I am changing a very small amount on x, then the change in y will be very small. So that means we can think of this is also going to be almost y, or you can say y plus some negligible amount. Then you can think of there is a geometry being formed. If you look at this geometry that I'm shading, this geometry is going to behave like a rectangle, which is very small. If I draw it by magnifying, so it's going to be some sort of this. This is going to be a particular y, and then it close by this, very close by this, you are going to get another y. This is y plus dy, you can call it. You can place them as close as you want, so that the gap between them is dx, very small. Now, so this gap is dx, and this was y. Since dx is very small, so whatever the gap, the difference between these two is coming, this should be ideally y plus dy. But since dy is very small, so we can neglect it. So we can say approximately this is second is also going to be y. Now if you think about this picture imagine, then you'll find this is going to be approximately a rectangle. If this is a rectangle, now our answer will be very close to this rectangle if we keep this dx as small as possible, and we know this dx is very small, so it's going to be y into dx, and that if we do this y into dx, that will become the area of this element. So we call this dx as a differential element, and for this differential element, this y into dx will be area. So we can say this y into dx is basically area of a differential element, a differential element. Why we call it as a differential element? Logic is there, because dx is a differential length, and if we are multiplying a length with a differential length, so that's called a differential element. So that differential area is y into dx. Now if we keep on changing this x from this x1 to x2, then we will be finding this kind of small rectangle, and these small rectangle can fill entire space between x1 and x2. So what we need to do, we need to add all the areas like this. So all the differential areas which are running from x1 to x2 should be added up together. Now this integration also means summation. So integration is very similar to the summation. So this, if we apply the integration on this, so we will say integration y dx, it is basically summation of all the areas, or we can say all the areas of differential elements. And if we do this summation from x1 to x2, that means we are adding all the differential areas that are running from x1 to x2. If we change the limits of x1 and x2, then you will find that we will be getting different range of that area. So we can choose any range from replacing or changing the limits of integration. So this integration is also called summation. So we are basically summing all these differential rectangular areas. If we do add all of them, then you'll find this entire area that I have shaded over here, this area will be formed. So that will become area under curve or under the graph between, that has to be between x equal to x1 to x equal to x2. So this is how you can think of this particular result comes out. So y dx is differential area element, and y dx integration, if you do the integration, that's area, and x1 and x2 they talk about what the limits is. That means from where to where the area has to be considered. After understanding this theoretical aspect, let me take one example that will illustrate how to use and how to get that area, and we will also verify whether that is area by using another method that we know about area calculation. So here is the example. Example reads, find area under y equal to 2x graph between x equal to 0 to x equal to 2. So let's use the method that we have learned to find this area. So we will say the area that we are requiring, or required area, can be expressed as integration y dx. So that's area under the graph, and it's running from x equal to 0 to x equal to 2. So they are basically indicating limits. So it has to run from 0 to 2. This is what we need to find. So if we find this thing, this will be same as the question that has been asked, that's area under the graph between these 2 points. Now performing this is going to be easy, as we have understood the rules for integration. Now we will be replacing this y, whatever the y is given to us, in terms of x, so it will become twice x and dx. You'll find this twice x integration is going to be quite easy, and then 2 can be taken outside. It's x dx, and limit runs from 0 to 2, and then you can say 2 is outside, and this x integration becomes x squared by 2. Then you need to place the limit, so that limit can be placed on overall part, or you can take the constant outside. It runs from 0 to 2. Then if you take it further, you will find 2 and 2 getting cancelled out, so it's x squared and running from 0 to 2. And then you will place this upper limit, which is 2, so square of 2 minus 0, then square of 0, and then ultimately it came out to be 4. So you will say the area is going to be 4 units. So whatever the units you are using, in that units it's going to be 4. So 4 becomes our answer. So we have found out the area under this graph between these 2 limits. Now let's try to draw the figure or graph of this function, because we know what the graph of this linear equation is going to be. It's going to be a straight line, and that straight line has to pass through from the origin, and the slope can be calculated as 2. So that's a straight line, and in fact there's a straight line going to move like this. So that's going to be have for us as a graph. So that's a y is equal to fx graph, or here fx is given to us, so we can write y is equal to 2x. That graph is there. Now here we can jot down some point. This is x equal to 0, and there's going to be somewhere a point which is called x equal to 2. So this is 0, this is 2, and this is x-axis, this is a graph. So basically this is the area we are looking for. So if we need to find this area, we can find this area by somehow that, because this area is making a geometry which is very simple geometry. You can see this is a right angle triangle. Since this is a right angle triangle, so area of a triangle we know, so we can use the triangular property to find this area, and we can check whether the area will be same as that we have calculated by the method of integration. Now if it is 2, so that is x equal to 2. So if we place x equal to 2, so we will get this value, that means value of y. So if we place x equal to 2 in this, so y will be 2 into 2, that is 4. So that's the one. So that means this height that we are looking for is 4, and this base is 2. So what the area of a triangle is? So can we say area, shaded area that we are talking about, is going to be half into base into height. Base is 2, height is 4. 2 and 2 getting cancelled out, and it became 4 units. So by drawing this graph, and if the geometry comes out to be simple, we can use the previous knowledge of getting the areas. That will also work, right? But you will find this method of integration is more general, because always, or in most of the cases, you may not find the geometry, that area you can calculate by some formulas, right? So, and this can be applied for any function, no matter what the function is, no matter what the geometry is being formed. as long as you can perform the integration, place the limits, you will be able to find the area under the graph. This makes this particular method or use of integration very, very important. Understood? So here we have verified by using triangular formula of area and by calculating the area using integration, and that's the use of integration. Let me take another example, and that will help you to digest this concept in much better fashion. So in this second example, it asks find the shown area in the figure. So this is a figure that has been given to us, and this figure is y is equal to sine x. That means it's a graph of sine x. And let's say you are being asked to find the area, which is this shaded area. That means area of this loop. So what the area of this loop is going to be, we need to find that area of sine loop. So if we are interested in finding this area, then using the geometry it will be very difficult for us to find this area because we don't have any direct formula to find this area. So but what we can use is the concept that we have learned. We can think of this is y equal to sine x, that's a function, and if we are interested for finding this area, so that area these limits are going to run from this x equal to 0, and then we know that's pi by 2, sine becomes 0 first time at pi, and similarly this is going to be 2 pi. If we need it for the next area, we can also calculate that. So we are simply focusing on this shaded area, and this shaded area can be written in this manner. So we can say area that we are interested in is going to be, or let's me write area of upper loop. We can think of there's the upper loop, there's a lower loop. So we are saying the area of upper loop is going to be equal to integration of y dx. That's the area, and it has to be integrated from 0 to limit pi. So we can catch the limits from the graph. And y is sine x, so we can put the value of y. So it's going to be integration from 0 to pi sine x dx. And you must be knowing that this is a straightforward integration and that standard integration, and we know the formula of this sine x integration, it becomes minus cos x. So it's going to be minus cos x. That's what the integration is. Since it's a definite integration, so we need to place the limit. It's going to run from 0 to pi. So we are going to call it as a minus integration, minus this bracket, and then replace this x by upper limit. So it will become cos pi. Then minus, replace that x by lower limit, which is cos 0. If you can keep on simplifying, then you'll find minus cos pi, which is cos 180 degree, that's going to be minus 1. Then minus cos 0 is a 1, so that's a 1. So minus 1 and minus 1, they are added together to make minus 2, and there is another minus, so everything will return into 2. So from here we can find, or we can say that the area of this upper loop is 2 units. Units means whatever the units is going on. If it is SI unit, so we can say meter square or centimeter square, or if other unit is similarly. So area of the upper loop is going to be 2 unit, right? So this area, which was otherwise difficult for us to calculate, we are able to find easily using the concept of integration. Now if somebody says find the area of the lower loop, then some common sense may work, and as per the using the common sense, you can say sine is very symmetrical as you go upside or downside. Basically sine keeps on repeating the same loop, once upside another downside, once upside another downside. So if you integrate from pi to 2 pi, then you can get this area, which is downside. So if this area has a magnitude, let's say this area is a1, this area is a2, then you'll find a1 and a2 will have the same magnitude. So a1 value came out to be 2. So a2 value can also be said to be same, that's going to be equal to a1, which is going to be equal to 2. But there's going to be one difference, because whenever we are going to go for this integration, then integration will give us a different value, because in integration we integrate this y, and if this loop is downside or graph is downside, then you'll find this y will come out as a negative. Then that will give us the area negative. So if we are finding the total area as a magnitude wise, so A2 and A1 they are going to be equal and they are going to be 2. So total area is going to be 2 plus 2, that is 4. So total area is going to be total area of one complete loop of sine, or you can say whatever is visible, that's going to be A1 plus A2, A1 plus A2, and that's going to be 4 unit. Now if somebody else find this value, integration from pi to 2 pi sine x dx, so can we say what this value is going to be? So you will say this value is basically the same as for upper loop. For lower loop we are going to get the same magnitude, so it's going to be 2, but this will bring a minus sign. Why this will bring a minus sign? Because when we are working from pi to 2 pi, then y is downside. Since y is downside, that means y is negative. If y is negative, then integration of y dx is going to be negative, or you can say sine is negative, hence the answer will come out to be negative. So there's a rule, when we integrate this using this formula, and if the graph is upside, then that comes out to be positive. If the graph is downside, that will come out to be negative. So integration of upside graph is positive, downside graph area is going to be negative. So if somebody asks what is the value of this integration running from 0 to 2 pi sine x dx, can you answer this? No. Now there's one way of answering, like for instance, for this expression that I made over here, you can integrate, put the value, you can check whether it's coming minus 2 pi, minus 2, you will get it's going to come as a minus 2. Similarly, you can also check this, what it is going to come. But since we have understood that this is going to give us the area under the loop with the sign, so we are running from 0 to 2 pi, so it will have a 2 unit upside and 2 unit downside, and downside will be treated as a negative, so you can write 2 minus 2, that will become 0. So you can check by integration, this answer will come out to be 0. So ultimate point is that if the graph is upside, area will be treated this integration will going to be positive, and if this is downside, then integration come out to be negative. And if you are interested in finding the magnitude of total area, then of course area has to be added up, hence we need to give as answer 4. So this 4 answer will come when we are finding the area in terms of the area of the figure. So areas are being added up always because they are the positive quantities. And if somebody says find the integration value, so that integration value will carry sign convention. So that does need to kept in mind. So when we say from 0 to 2 pi sine x dx integration, that means basically we are talking about the area of sine x from 0 to 2 pi. When we are talking about the area using this integration, then there has to be a minus sign for the graph which is downside. Hence this will become 0. So that means in integration, whatever the area we are talking about, it carries sign. It's positive for upside, negative for downside. Okay. So this point has to be clarified, that when we say area, that means we are simply talking about the area of geometry, and that's always positive, so that has to be added up. When we are talking about the area using integrations, integration carries sign for upside and plus sign, and for downside minus sign. Making sense? So this is what it is. Let me give you one example or a question for you, very similar question. So this is the question you need to try. It says find the shaded area as shown in the figure, and that's a figure, that's a y, that's x, and this y, the graph or function is y is equal to cos x. So it's the graph of cos x, and we need to find the area which starts from 0 up to this point where it becomes 0, the graph becomes 0, and this shaded area we need to find out what this value is going to be. So you just use the method that you have learned of integration, solve it, and after solving find the answer and comment that answer downside on the comment box. Okay, so that you can try. It's very similar to the one that we have just discussed. Now we will see some examples in physics where we will be using this integrations and finding out we will be using this integration to find out some physical quantity. So the first example I'm taking of this velocity versus time graph. So let's say velocity, this is a velocity, and let's say in meter per second, and this is the time in seconds. So we're writing it as S for second, Here we were writing as a meter per second, so that will also let us know what the units is going on. So that's the SI unit. So if graph of velocity versus time is given to us, then we can think of some area. So let's say the graph goes like this, any graph, and we are interested in some part of the area. That means we are interested in this part of the area, and we are trying to find what this is. So this is going to be a time value, let's say t1. This is the time value, let's say t2. So if we calculate this area, so as per our understanding now, what we are going to write this as? So we are going to write it as integration this unit. So we write what is in the vertical direction, that's the first. So that's going to be v into dt. So that's a v into dt. So this will be basically expressing the area that I have shaded over here. Moreover, to make it complete, we will need to place the limit of t time t1 to t2. So that will be the shaded area. So this is going to be the value of shaded area. And that's what the integration is. Integration can find out this shaded area and by doing this integration. So there will be two types of applications. One, sometimes you will be able to find this area by geometry, like it will be triangle, rectangle, or some simple geometry. So if you can find this area, that means you can solve this integration. So this integration value will be equal to the area that you can calculate by a picture. Another type of question will be in which we will be able to solve this integration, and that will let us know what the area is going to be. Just like we had a previous example, the loop area of sine or cos, we were able to find that area by doing the integration. So by doing the integration, we can find the area. By finding the area, we can do the integration. So it works both ways. Anyway, so this is how the expression of this area will be written down. So what this is going to indicate, let's talk about. In physics kinematics, we will be learning that this velocity and time, they are related. So the definition of velocity goes like this. So definition of velocity goes like this, dr upon dt. That's how we write the velocity definition. That's the rate of change of displacement with respect to time. And that's a basic definition. You must have encountered it n times by now. So if you rewrite this, so this becomes dr is equal to v dt. So you can rewrite this differential equation or this equation in this form. That means dr, r for displacement, v dt. In the next line, you can go for the integration. So you can go for integration both sides. So integration of dr is going to be integration v dt. And then you can place the limit if you want. If you are interested from t1 to t2, so you place the time t1 to t2. Then displacement can be placed from r1 to r2. So for r1 position to r2 position. If you simplify, you are going to get on the left hand side, it will be r2 minus r1 after integration. And on the right hand side, you will find v dt and running from t1 to t2. Now what we have started from this point onward, that's the physics. So this is the definition of velocity, and then from the velocity definition we are trying to find the displacement. So idea is from the velocity we are interested in finding the displacement. Now r2 minus r1 is the final position minus initial position. So whenever we say final position minus initial position, that's basically displacement. So this is indicating the displacement. So this is indicating displacement of the particle from t1 time to t2 time. This displacement can be said to be equal to this integration, and this integration, if you see clearly, is the same expression which is equal to the shaded area. So that means this displacement is going to be equal to area under the graph, area under v velocity versus time graph or curve. Now that becomes an important rule, and that will make you ready for equations in the examination. And that from here we can conclude that the displacement of any particle can be said to be equal to the area under v versus t graph if velocity versus t graph is given to us. So if velocity versus time graph is given to us, and if somebody asking about what the displacement is, what we need to do, we need to simply go for the area from the time interval which the question is demanding for, and once we can find that area, we can claim that's going to be the displacement. So that becomes one important relation or formula to find displacement out of velocity versus time graph. I'm just trying to explain how we are able to use these concepts using the concepts of physics. And there are going to be n number of parameters or physical quantities which we can find out by simply finding the area under the graph instead of performing this integration, which might be complex. So this complex integration can be easily solved by taking the area under the graph. Okay. After understanding this particular point, let me give one question based on this particular concept, and you answer that. So here's the question. It says velocity versus time graph is shown in the figure. We need to find following things. It's a velocity meter per second, time in second, and this black color is the graph that is given to us. In the first part, we need to find displacement of object, whatever the object that is moving. So displacement of object from t equal to 0 to t equal to 6 seconds. So t equal to 0 to t equal to 6 seconds, we need to find out the displacement of the object. So what you can do, you can pause the video and solve, and then check your answer after coming back. Let me proceed with the solution, how we can solve this. So we need to find the displacement. Now in this v versus t diagram, so if you ask velocity with respect to time, that we can say, that means if somebody asks what is the velocity at t equal to 0, we will say it's a 20 meter per second. If somebody says what is the velocity at 1 second, so we will say 20 meter per second. 2 seconds, it's a 20 meter per second. Up to 6, it's a 20 meter per second. That means velocity is constant up to 6 seconds. Then after the velocity decreases, that means say at 7th second you'll find it will be less than 20, and at 8th second it becomes 0. So if you give the time value and ask the for velocity, that can be stated by using this graph simply. But the question goes one level beyond. It's not asking for the velocity and giving the time, it's asking for the displacement. So that means here the physics has to come in, and we need to relate this velocity, time and displacement together. So as we have just finished, that this displacement is the area under the graph. So we can say this displacement that we are looking for, this displacement, if you are writing by r, so this is going to be area under the graph, area under v versus t. And between the time limit that we are interested in, so we are interested in the time limit from 0 to 6. So 0 to 6 seconds, this is the area that we need to measure. Now you see this area is a nice rectangular geometry, and which we can easily calculate. So what the area of this rectangular geometry is going to be, you say base which is 6, you say height which is 20. So you can say it's going to be 6 into 20, that's done. So it will become 120 meter. So the particle or the object will be covering 120 meter as a displacement between 0 to 6 seconds if its motion is given like this. Now you'll find calculating this displacement becomes very simple whenever the graph is given to us. So we will find the graphical questions which are very important for exams, and they are very simple as well. Okay, for that sake you need to simply learn what's going on. So that's a 120 meter. Now second part I'm leaving for you to do and give the answer on the comment section, and it says find displacement of object in the entire motion, shown in the figure. That means total displacement we need to find out. So you just solve and give the answer on the comment section what the total displacement is going to be. When we say total displacement, that means we are looking for the displacement running from 0 initial time to final time. Final time is 8 seconds. You can try and give the answer in the comment section. Well, so I took this one example of graph that from the physics concept. As I told you, there are n number of physical quantities that can be calculated using the area calculations. So all those we are going to learn in the respective chapters. So we are not going to go in those part of physics as of now. because as present we are simply understanding how to get this area. If you are looking for this area, so this area is basically v dt, and that runs from 0 to 6. And if somebody else find this value, then you can say this value we have calculated, it's basically 120 meter. So point is, we are just trying to learn or understood this point, that how to get this integration done and what this integration is going to represent in terms of physics. Particularly in this example, velocity versus time, it is the displacement. Okay, so once you got this idea, then in physics I will be simply saying this is how the expression is indicated. Whenever this is how an expression goes on, that means you can also think of area between v versus t graph. So that means this variable versus this variable graph. Okay, let's move ahead and talk about another point. Well, so we have just understood this point, that if y equal to fx graph is given to us, so this is y equal to fx graph, and if we need to find area which is, let's say, between x1 to x2, this area. So this area under the graph with the x-axis, this area which is I'm shading over here, this area is expressed as area is equal to integration of y dx running from x1 to x2. This you have understood, right? And you also have understood how this area is coming in. That means we take a differential dx and we multiply with this y, and then we add summation, means integration means summation. That means we are adding all these strips, and then it is coming to this total area. Making sense? Now if somebody make a bit change and ask something else, so I hope you can also catch that point as well. And let's say if we join this point here, so that's going to be y1, that means value of function at x1. If you join this point, so that's going to be y2. And if somebody is interested in finding this area, that means now you need to find the area of the graph or under the graph with the y-axis. So can you connect what this area should be written as? Same logic. So logic is this, that means here you need to take a strip, small element on the y direction. So this area should be written as like this. A small element has to be considered in the y direction, so that's a dy. That has to be multiplied with this x value, and if you multiply this x value, so element is going to be x into dy, and that has to be added up or integrated. So that has to be integration on this, and the limit has to run from y1 to y2. So y1 to y2. So if we write this integration x dy running from y1 to y2, so that will represent that area which the graph makes with the y-axis within y1 and y2 limits. Exactly same way as we have talked about this with the x-axis. So if this kind of area is being asked, that means area of the graph with the y-axis, we can work on it and we can find out what that area is going to be. So in this particular slide, we need to understand that we can find the area with the x-axis as well as area with the y-axis. So accordingly, we need to make change. If we are working on the x direction, so limit has to be on the x, hence dx should be there. And if we are working on the y-axis or along the y-axis, then the limit has to be on y, and then there has to be dy. Making sense? So this is how you can find the area with the x-axis as well as with the y-axis. Now let's consider this last point, which is area between two graphs. So we can use this integration to find out area enclosed between two graphs. So you can look at this figure. In this figure, this graph, there are two graphs. One is this black colored graph, which is y is equal to f1x. Another is this red colored graph, which is y is equal to f2x. So there are two functions, different functions, and they have been plotted on the same xy coordinate. And if you plot this, so you will be finding that they might be intersecting somewhere, and if they are intersecting at these 2 points, then you'll find this area is going to be enclosed area. So area enclosed between two graphs, or we can simply say area between two graphs. And somebody says find this area between these two graphs. So if you go by the geometry, you will find it's going to be extremely difficult to find this area. but this integration is going to help us, and we will be able to find any area formed by any two graph between the intersection points. So what we need to do is this: we need to first identify what this point is, and we need to identify what this point is. Now we can identify these points very easily. Let's say this point is x1, this point is x2. How to find these x1 and x2? For that matter, you say if we place x equal to x1 in the first function, and if we place s equal to x1 in the second function, those both will give us the same value of y. So that means both will have the same value of y when we replace x by x1. Similarly, both will have the same value of y when we replace x equal to x2. That means these points are intersection. So from here we can claim, let's call this as a y1 function, let's call this as a y2 function. So we will be claiming this y1 is equal to y2. So first of all, we will be saying y1 equal to y2. When we say y1 equal to y2, which basically is going to indicate as f1x is equal to f2x. Now when we solve this, you are going to get, after solution, x values. So you will get x value as x1, and you will also get x value as x2. You will get twice values because they are intersecting at two times, hence two values are supposed to come, and they should come. So you will get x1 and x2 out of this expression solving, so that we are able to find this x1 value and x2 value. So we are able to find this x1 and x2. Once we have found out this x1 and x2, then we can find this area enclosed. So we can say area enclosed is going to be equal to, can we say this area enclosed is going to be the area under the this upside graph? So upside graph, if we are trying to find out the total area of the upside graph with the x-axis, is going to be this one, right? And if we are trying to find the total area of this downside graph, that's going to be this one. Now if you see the two shading that I have made, so if we subtract this later one from the earlier one, you will get that only which is enclosed. So we can say this is area of area under the graph of upside graph minus area under the graph of downside graph. So I'm writing directly, it's going to be integration upside graph, which is f1x, that you can call it as a y1 dx, and having limits from x1 to x2. So that's area, which is the graph which is lying upside during that these intersection points, and out of it I'm going to subtract this y2 dx and having the same limits. This is going to be the area enclosed. Now that can further be simplified because we know this integration is distributive, so we can collect it as well, and same limit, same dx. So we can take this integration limit running x1 to x2 outside, and in bracket we are going to get y1 minus y2 into dx. So that becomes our formula. So point is, if y1 function is given to us, y2 function is given to us, and if it is being asked what is the area enclosed, what we are going to do, we are going to find y1 minus y2, and we will place y1 minus y2 over here. We will integrate, and the limit will be decided from here. From here we can decide the limits, and we will place the limits. We will simplify whatever it is going to come, that become the area enclosed between two curves. Making sense? And let me take this last example related to this and solve it, and then this will be done. So here is the example. It says find enclosed area between y equal to x graph and y equal to x square graph. So we need to find the enclosed area between these two graphs. So first of all, we need to draw these two graphs. Let's draw this y equal to x graph. We know y equal to x graph is going to be passing through origin and going to be a straight line. So it's going to be a straight line like this. And since y equal to x, so it's going to be having slope 1. So it's going to be 45 degree. So symmetrically it will be running like this. So that's the y equal to x. Now let me draw this another graph on the same figure. So in that same figure we are going to draw another graph. This is going to parabola opening upward, you know that, starting from 0, so it will also go from 0 and moving like this. Let me magnify a bit. So it's going to be some sort of this, and not only this side, it's also going to be proceeding that side. So I'm not drawing on the left side because that side it's not intersecting. So you'll find this is the area that is enclosed area, this area, shaded area, that's what we need to find out. So we need to find the points of intersection. One point is obvious and that's visible. Obvious and visible point is this x equal to 0. So they are intersecting at x equal to 0. We need to simply find out where else they intersect each other. So for that sake, whatever the rule we have understood, we will follow that. We will be equating the two. So we will be saying y1, the first function should be equal to the second function. This is the second function, which is y is equal to x square. Now during the integration, you'll find, during this intersection point, you'll find this y equal to x is upside and this red is downside. Anyway, so first we will say the two functions should be having the same values. So let's say equate them. So we will say x is equal to x square, and which we can say you can take them, bring them one side, so x square minus x equal to 0. So that's a quadratic equation. You are going to have in this quadratic equation you are going to have two values of x. So let's take the x as a common, so it's going to be x minus 1, that's going to be 0. And then you know after this factorization you'll find x will have two values. X can be either 0 or x can be 1. So as we expected, there has to be two values of x. So first 0, that's obviously decided, or otherwise you can decide, and this is going to be 1. So that means we have got the limit. Then we can claim what the enclosed area is going to be. What you can do, you can solve by your own, then check your answer. I'm solving here. So you will say solution enclosed area is equal to integration running from 0 to 1. That's what the limit is. 0 to 1 is the limit, and then you need to see which function is upside. And if you are not able to draw the picture, that's also okay. What you can do between these two limits, you can place any value. Let's say I'm placing half, and then in this half value of x, we will put here x, we will put here, and check which y is coming more. So the y which is coming more is going to be upside, isn't it? So here it's clear that x is going to be upside, so x minus x square. So y1 minus y2 into dx, that's our answer. Now integrating this is not a big deal. If you integrate this x, it becomes x square by 2. If you integrate this x square, it becomes x cube by 3. I'm integrating quickly, or directly you can say. And then place the limits. Limits has to run from 0 to 1. Then first you are going to place 1. So it's going to be 1 square by 2 minus 1 cube by 3. And this has to be subtracted by substituting 0. So when you place 0, everything will become 0. Or you can say 0 minus 0, or whatever you like. Then you can simplify this thing. When you simplify, basically you are getting half minus 1 by 3. So half minus 1 by 3 is basically 1 by 6. So ultimately it came out to be 1 by 6 units. So you will say the area enclosed is going to be equal to 1 by 6 units. And that area is this area which is trapped between these two functions. So overall idea, let me quickly summarize. What is it is, if the two functions are given to us and we are asked to find the enclosed area, first you equate the two functions, do this, find the intersection points, that's going to be limit, and then go for y1 minus y2 dx integration from initial to final limit. Perform this integration, get your answer, that's done. If you can draw the figure, that's perfect. Okay, so this is about this integration. And in integration, let me quickly summarize. Application is the most important application is this. That means you can find the area of any graph, and that area is given by that integration. You have learned how that area is being developed up by taking the small elements or strips. And this will be used in physics very extensively, and core idea will remain the same that we have learned over here. Well, so by this we have finished this integration in detail. Prior to that we have gone through differentiation, and prior to that we talked about a function. Collecting all of them is the calculus which we have completed, that is required in physics, right? So that's all. And in next chapter that we are going to start is going to be kinematics. That will be the first chapter of physics. So thank you for watching. Have a great time.